The sky of Violia glowed with colors that seemed impossible. Deep purples mixed with soft pinks, and golden streaks cut across the horizon like veins of light. The air shimmered faintly, carrying the faint scent of alien flora and minerals, a mixture both sweet and earthy. In this world, every plant pulsed with subtle bioluminescence, and creatures moved with a rhythm that felt almost musical. It was beautiful, mesmerizing, and deadly for those who did not understand it. High above the thick canopy of glowing trees, the alien queen moved gracefully, her multiple limbs glinting in the light. She was tall and elegant, her exoskeleton reflecting the colors of the jungle in intricate patterns. Every motion she made was precise, practiced, and full of authority. The queen had ruled her people, the Alari, for centuries, and though her body carried the marks of time, her mind remained sharp as the blades she carried hidden in her robes. Yet even she could not predict the trap she had wandered into that day. The predator was unlike anything the queen had seen in recent cycles. It had been carefully camouflaged in the glowing ferns, waiting for the right moment. The queen had stepped forward, curious, her instincts warning her of danger but her intellect dismissing it. A snap of a vine, a shimmer of motion, and suddenly the world tilted. She felt herself being caught, a strong force holding her in place. The canopy above her blurred as she struggled, her limbs striking out against invisible bonds. The predator was patient. It did not attack but merely waited, sensing fear and uncertainty in her movements. The queen realized quickly that brute strength alone would not free her. She had always been able to manipulate situations, to control outcomes, to solve problems with a mixture of intelligence and authority. But here, in this glowing jungle against this strange force, she was powerless. Panic threatened to rise, but she forced it down. She took a deep breath, counting in the language of her ancestors. She needed a plan. She needed to think. But thinking was not enough. Her mind raced, recalling the countless strategies she had employed over her long life, yet none seemed applicable in this sudden, strange trap. Then she saw a shadow moving among the ferns. Quick, silent, purposeful. It moved unlike any Elari she had ever known. The shadow paused, studied her, and then, almost casually, reached into the trap with hands far weaker than hers. The queen watched, incredulous, as this small, unassuming figure began to manipulate the complex vines and tendrils holding her. The predator hissed, a sound that vibrated through the air, but the shadow ignored it. There was a focus in the human's eyes that the queen could not understand at first. It was not fear. It was not aggression. It was determination. In a few moments, the vines loosened. With one careful motion, the shadow pulled her free. The queen stumbled but regained her balance instantly, staring at the human with wide eyes. He was small, slight in build, with brown hair and wide, curious eyes. He wore a simple suit designed for the jungle, but it seemed almost ceremonial compared to the alien surroundings. His hands were calloused, tools clutched carefully, his movements precise yet gentle. The queen felt something stir within her, a mixture of astonishment and gratitude. "You saved me," she said finally, her voice low and melodic. Her multiple eyes studied him carefully, noting every detail. The human nodded, smiling faintly. "I couldn't just leave you there, you were in danger." The queen tilted her head. "You are human, fragile, weak, yet you risked yourself to save me." He shrugged lightly. "I guess some things are worth the risk." The queen did not fully understand, but she felt the truth in his words. There was courage in this small creature, courage she had rarely seen in beings stronger and more numerous than humans. Courage combined with intelligence, with quick thinking, and with compassion. She could feel it resonating like a quiet power that did not demand obedience but earned respect. "Stay," she said finally. "I wish to speak with you." The human shook his head gently. "I can't. I have to return to my mission, but I'm glad you're safe." With that, he turned and vanished into the glowing jungle, leaving the queen alone. She watched him go, a strange emptiness filling her chest. Her advisors had always warned her of humans. They were unpredictable. They were fragile. They could not survive in most alien environments. And yet, here was a human who had done what she herself could not do, who had acted without fear, without hesitation, and without expectation of reward. The queen's advisors approached cautiously, their multiple limbs brushing against the glowing ground. "Your Majesty," one said, "that human, he should not have been here. You were in danger." "Yes," the queen replied softly, her eyes following the shadow that had disappeared into the jungle. "And yet he saved me. Not because he is strong, not because he is fast, not because he is powerful, because he chose to act." Her advisors exchanged uncertain looks. They had never seen the queen speak in this way. They had never seen her admire a human. "That human," the queen continued, "he is remarkable. He possesses a quality we cannot easily measure. Courage, perhaps, or understanding, something beyond our reach." Days passed, but the queen could not forget the human. She observed the human settlements from a distance, noting the small figures moving among strange machines and glowing vehicles. She watched as they communicated, worked together, and created tools that allowed them to survive in environments far harsher than Violia. She saw resilience in their actions, adaptability in their minds, and a subtle kindness in the way they treated each other. It was unlike anything she had seen in her own species. The Ilari were intelligent, capable, and disciplined, yet their focus often centered on power, control, and hierarchy. Humans, she realized, valued something else: connection, compassion, ingenuity without expectation. The queen found herself intrigued, studying the humans' patterns, their habits, and their technology. She noted how they solved problems quickly, often with unexpected solutions. She saw how they worked together, how they shared ideas, how even the weakest among them could have an impact far greater than their size or strength suggested. Meanwhile, the human, Eli, continued his mission. He was unaware of the lasting impression he had left on the queen. He documented plants, mapped the terrain, and noted the strange fauna. He moved carefully, respectfully, observing the jungle without causing harm. Eli had been raised to explore, to learn, and to act with curiosity and compassion. The encounter with the queen had been remarkable, yet he considered it a moment in a larger journey. But the queen did not forget. One night, she walked among the glowing ferns, her mind replaying the moment when the human had freed her. She remembered the focus in his eyes, the calmness in his voice, and the confidence in his hands. He had acted without fear of consequences, without desire for reward, and without hesitation. That, she realized, was a form of strength unlike any she had known. Her advisors warned her against fascination. "Human behavior is unpredictable," one said. "You cannot rely on them." The queen shook her head. "It is not about reliance. It is about understanding. This human, he has qualities we can admire, learn from, and perhaps even emulate." Weeks later, the queen encountered a new challenge. A rare meteor storm threatened the jungle, its energy disorienting the wildlife and endangering delicate ecosystems. The queen moved quickly, directing her people to protect vulnerable plants and creatures. Yet even with her strategic planning, there were gaps, risks she could not fully control. And then Eli appeared again. He had returned, this time guided by scientific curiosity. Observing the queen's leadership, he suggested subtle adjustments to her protective measures. He proposed new structures to shield fragile species and new paths for resource distribution that minimized risk. The queen watched him, recognizing immediately the human's talent. Not strength, not force, but innovation. The ability to see patterns, to predict outcomes, and to act decisively. Together, they implemented his ideas, and the jungle survived the meteor storm with minimal damage. For the first time, the queen felt something she had rarely experienced: collaboration with another intelligent species on equal footing. She realized that humans were not inferior, they were different. Their minds were unpredictable, creative, and when guided by ethics, profoundly powerful. Days turned into weeks, and Eli's presence became a source of fascination for the queen. She observed how he interacted with his own people, how he encouraged teamwork, and how he approached problems with patience and clarity. He was neither arrogant nor fearful, neither reckless nor passive. He acted with purpose, combining reason with empathy, intellect with courage. One evening, as the twin moons of Violia rose over the glowing jungle, the queen approached Eli directly. "Human," she said, her voice calm but commanding, "you have done more than save my life. You have shown me the strength of your species. You have shown me that courage and intelligence are not measured in size or power." Eli looked at her, slightly surprised yet calm. "I only do what I can. The jungle, the world, it's full of challenges. You and your people are remarkable, but so are all creatures. Sometimes survival is about understanding, not force." The queen nodded, a smile forming across her mandibles. "You are wise, human, perhaps wiser than many of my own kind. You have earned my respect, though I suspect you do not even realize it." Eli smiled faintly. "I'm glad I could help." The queen realized then that respect did not demand reciprocity, but it could form bonds, invisible yet powerful, that might one day shape the fate of worlds. She felt a quiet hope that humans and Elari might find a way to coexist, to learn from each other, and to face challenges together. And deep within her, a recognition took root. The human who had saved her life was no longer just a fleeting memory. He was a symbol, a reminder that strength came in many forms, and that sometimes the smallest, seemingly fragile beings could change the course of destiny with courage, intellect, and compassion. She did not yet know what the future held, but one truth had become clear. The human Eli had left an indelible mark on her life and on the jungle of Violia, a mark that would not fade, a lesson in humility, courage, and unexpected greatness. Months had passed since Eli had first saved the alien queen in the glowing jungles of Violia. The seasons of the bioluminescent planet shifted subtly, casting new colors across the dense canopy, and life on Violia continued its rhythm, calm yet full of purpose. The queen had not forgotten the human who had risked his life to free her. In her heart, a quiet admiration had grown, a respect that lingered every time she moved among her people or watched the skies above the alien world. Eli had returned to his own kind, humans who had arrived on Violia to study its ecosystem, understand its flora and fauna, and learn from the intelligent Elari civilization. The humans were careful, curious, and polite, careful not to disrupt the delicate balance of the jungle. Eli moved among them as always, quietly observing, taking notes, recording every detail, yet always aware of the bigger picture. Even so, he never forgot the day he had freed the queen. To him, it was remarkable, but it was just one part of his life's work. The queen, meanwhile, faced a new challenge. A neighboring alien coalition, the Zarathi, had learned of Violia's unique ecosystem and its rare resources. They had never fully understood the Elari, nor their sophisticated approach to governance and environmental stewardship. The Zarathi saw opportunity, not diplomacy. The queen knew that if she acted recklessly, Violia could suffer. Her advisors urged caution, as they always did, warning her against human interference. But the queen knew differently now. She had learned that strength came in many forms, and sometimes wisdom required trust. Eli returned to the jungle unexpectedly, part of a scientific delegation meant to catalog plant life and monitor the energy flows in Violia. The queen recognized him immediately. The small human, so unassuming in appearance, yet so powerful in his courage and intellect, had returned. The sight of him brought a quiet smile to her face. This time she would not simply admire him from a distance. She would act. She met him at the edge of the glowing forest, where the ferns and trees pulsed faintly under the twin moons. Eli froze slightly, surprised to see her. The memory of the rescue came back to him instantly. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing slightly in respect, "it's good to see you again." The queen regarded him, her multiple eyes reflecting the soft lights of the forest. "Human Eli," she said, her voice calm but carrying authority, "you have returned. I hoped you would. I have watched your people and I have watched you. Your wisdom and your courage have proven themselves invaluable." Eli blinked, slightly unsure of what to say. He had never expected recognition, and certainly not from an alien queen. I'm honored, Your Majesty. I only did what I could." The queen shook her head, a subtle movement of her head cresting in a gesture of thoughtfulness. "You underestimate yourself, human. You have qualities that my people rarely see. Courage, intelligence, empathy, a combination that can alter the course of events without wielding a blade or commanding armies." Eli considered her words carefully. He was practical, analytical, yet he understood the weight of her recognition. "I've learned a lot here," he said quietly, "about your world, your people, and even about myself. I've learned that understanding and careful action can be stronger than force." The queen's antennae twitched in approval. "Indeed. And now we face a situation where such qualities are required. The Zarathi are unaware of our strength, yet they underestimate us. They approach with intentions that could disrupt our harmony if we do not respond wisely." Together, the queen and Eli began to develop a plan. But this was not a plan of weapons or war. It was a plan of intellect, foresight, and collaboration. They studied the terrain, noting where the jungle could protect itself naturally and where human technology could assist without altering the ecosystem. They observed the movement of the Zaratha's ships, their signals, and their weaknesses, relying on observation, prediction, and strategy rather than aggression. As they worked, Eli introduced subtle tools and methods to help the Elari. Small devices that could monitor environmental changes, ways to strengthen natural barriers without harming any life, and techniques to communicate efficiently across the jungle. The queen watched carefully, learning not just the methods but the philosophy behind them, the human approach of observation, reasoning, and careful intervention. The Elari advisors watched with skepticism. Humans were fragile, they whispered. They could not survive the pressures of interplanetary politics, let alone the chaos of Virelia's unpredictable jungle. Yet the queen remained steadfast. "Observe," she told them. "Watch what humans can achieve when guided by reason, compassion, and intellect." Over time, the human-Elari collaboration began to show results. They established safe corridors for wildlife, monitored energy flows that could cause disruptions, and even managed to intercept signals from the Zarathi without confrontation. The queen noticed how humans, though physically weaker, could think ahead, solve problems with creativity, and make decisions that ensured the safety of everyone involved. One evening, under the twin moons, the queen and Eli stood together at the edge of a cliff overlooking the glowing jungle. "Human," she said, "your species is remarkable. You act without fear, without desire for dominance, yet your presence can influence events far beyond your physical reach. You have saved lives, shaped outcomes, and shown qualities that inspire even my people." Eli smiled faintly. "I don't think of it as inspiring. I think of it as responsibility. When you can act wisely, when you can help without harming, you must do so. It's not about recognition, it's about the right action." The queen considered this. Recognition was not what she sought either, yet she felt it was necessary for her people to understand. She addressed the assembly of Elari advisors, scientists, and leaders. "A human has demonstrated courage, intelligence, and moral clarity beyond what we have seen. He has saved not only me but our world from potential disruption. Let this be remembered. Wisdom and valor are not bound to size, shape, or species. Let this human be honored, for he represents the strength of his kind and the potential of cooperation between our peoples." The humans were astonished. They had not expected public recognition from an alien queen. Eli, who had always been humble, stood quietly, absorbing the honor without vanity. His eyes met the queen's, and for a moment there was a silent understanding. Respect had passed between them, unspoken yet profound. The recognition brought about a new era on Virlia. Humans and Elari began to work together in ways previously unimaginable. They shared knowledge, combined technologies, and explored areas of the jungle that had been inaccessible before. The queen had learned from the humans, careful observation, their ability to find solutions where brute force could not. The humans had learned from the queen's wisdom, her understanding of balance, and her ethical approach to leadership. The alliance strengthened further when a minor disruption occurred in the jungle. A natural shift in the energy patterns threatened to disrupt some of the newly established ecosystems. Humans and Elari worked side by side, using their combined knowledge to prevent harm. They did not fight, they solved problems. They did not dominate, they collaborated. The jungle thrived, and the lesson was clear. Intelligence, courage, and empathy could achieve far more than power or aggression. Throughout these events, the queen often reflected on the first human she had met, the one who had saved her life. She realized that his actions had not been extraordinary because of strength or skill, but because of his choices. His decisions had reflected values that resonated deeply with her own: respect for life, attention to consequences, and courage guided by wisdom. That human had demonstrated, in one quiet act, the potential of his species to shape worlds positively. Eli, too, felt the weight of their connection. He had never expected recognition, yet he understood that his actions had created ripples far beyond his own comprehension. He saw the respect the queen had earned among her people, and he recognized that trust could be a form of power stronger than fear. The jungle, the people, the glowing world of Virlia, they had all changed because of understanding, cooperation, and courage. As the moons rose high, casting silver light across the jungle, the queen and Eli walked together along a gentle ridge, their steps silent, their minds thoughtful. "I once thought strength was measured in power," the queen said softly. "Now I see it is measured in understanding, courage, and the choices we make." Eli nodded. "And sometimes the smallest actions can have the largest impact. The world is full of opportunities to help, to guide, to learn. We only have to take them." The queen regarded him with quiet admiration. "You have proven that humans are not fragile as my advisors feared. You are capable of brilliance, courage, and moral clarity. You have saved me, taught me, and shaped our world. You are a reminder that strength takes many forms." Together they looked out over the glowing canopy, where light shimmered and moved like liquid fire. In that moment, there was harmony, a quiet acknowledgement that humans and Elari could coexist, learn from each other, and face whatever challenges the universe might present. In the days that followed, the human-Elari collaboration expanded. Humans introduced new methods of sustainable observation, allowing them to predict environmental shifts and prevent harm before it occurred. The queen guided her people to adopt these strategies, blending human insight with Elari wisdom. It was a partnership built not on dominance, not on fear, but on trust, understanding, and respect. Eli often wandered the jungle, recording data, observing creatures, and learning more about the alien world. He never acted as if he were above anyone. He remained patient, careful, and thoughtful, treating the jungle and its inhabitants with deep respect. The queen watched him from afar at times, reflecting on the first moment she had met him. She realized that recognition, trust, and cooperation were the true forms of power. One evening, as the bioluminescent plants pulsed softly beneath the twin moons, the queen called Eli to her side. "Human," she said, her voice calm and melodic, You have left an indelible mark on me, on my people, and on Vyrlia itself. You have proven that the human spirit is extraordinary. You have saved lives, shaped events, and taught us the value of courage guided by wisdom. For that I honor you." Eli smiled faintly, humbled. "I only did what I could, but I am honored by your recognition." "You have taught me as much as I have taught you." The queen nodded. "Let this moment be remembered not as a tale of heroism, but as a testament to cooperation, understanding, and moral courage. Let humans and Elari continue to learn from each other, to face challenges together, and to shape a future defined not by conflict, but by wisdom and respect." In that glowing jungle, beneath the radiant skies of Vyrlia, a bond was formed that would endure for generations. Humans and Elari walked side by side, working together to explore, protect, and understand the mysteries of their world. And the alien queen, who had once been saved by the courage of a single human, realized fully that strength was not measured by size or power, but by the choices one made, the compassion one showed, and the courage one displayed in moments that mattered most. Eli had come as an explorer, a quiet observer of a distant world. He remained humble, yet his actions had inspired change, not through force, but through wisdom, courage, and understanding. The queen, in turn, had recognized that humans, fragile though they might seem, possessed an inner strength that could shape destinies. Together, they demonstrated the truest meaning of heroism, the ability to act wisely, to lead with compassion, and to inspire others through example. As the moons rose higher, casting their silver glow across the jungle, the queen and Eli stood together in silent reflection. Their journey had begun with a single act of courage, but it had grown into something far greater, a partnership, a bond, and a shared vision for a future where humans and Elari could face any challenge together, guided not by fear, not by dominance, but by wisdom, respect, and the quiet, enduring strength of the human spirit.